Hi everyone, today I'm going to help you thread up your sewing machine. Mine's a Singer Start sewing machine. Yours might be slightly different, but the underlying concept of it all is the same. So follow along. Great, so we're going to thread the upper part of the machine and the lower threads and the lower bobbin. So remember I said you must have both parts threaded correctly for it to sew. This is a really simple step, but you must do it exactly right. Otherwise, if you miss a step or if you don't quite thread it properly, that's when you'll run into issues with your sewing and some things might start, the tension might be weird and it just might not sew correctly. So make sure you follow this. Great, so you're going to want to start by raising the needle to its highest point and continue turning the hand wheel counterclockwise. So remember, turn the wheel towards you. So what we're wanting to do is put the needle right up because we need this metal bar to be in the full position to be able to thread it correctly. We won't be able to thread it if it's like that. So ensure you wind your side winder and ensure that that middle is at the top. Place the thread on the thread spool. So you put that on there. And then you pull the thread along. And you're going to go along this way. You're going to go around the back of this one and then through the little hole. There's a little hole there. You're just going to go through that. And you're going to pull your thread down, all the way down. My machine has arrows, which is quite handy. So follow the arrows, go down, and then you're going to go round. So we're going around there, up, and then you're going to want to go behind this silver bar. So go behind the back of it, right around. Yep, and then you're going to go pull it all the way down. And then what we want to do now is there's a little metal bar here, and what we want to do is we want to go behind it. There's a little opening just here. So the easiest way is you just grab your thread like this. And then what you're going to want to do is just pop it behind that little metal bar. I'm going to place the foot down just so I can get into that thread. Now we're going to thread the needle. So to do that easy, you just cut the thread so it's a nice clean cut, and then you're going to thread your needle towards the back. So you're going to put it in here and thread it towards the back of the machine. Here we go. So that's the top half of the machine is all threaded up and ready to go. So grab your bobbin and your bobbin case, so those two pieces. Put your bobbin case aside for now and grab your bobbin. Put your bobbin on the table and pull the string, and what we're wanting to do is have the string going in a clockwise direction when you pull on it. So if I pull it like this, we want to make sure it's going clockwise direction. And if yours, when you pull your string, if you pull it and it's going clockwise, that's correct. What you're going to want to do now is pick up the bobbin and the case and put the middle top edge bit, that pointy bit, at the top. You're going to grab your bobbin and put it in. Make sure you don't flip it over or anything, because you still want to make sure when you pull that string, it's going in a clockwise direction. Very important. Now what you're going to do is you're going to grab your string and put it through that little slit in the hole there. Once you've done that, you're going to pull it round, up, so it's through that little hole. So it should look like that. And then you can always check it by pulling on the string and just ensuring that it's going around in a clockwise direction, which mine is. So now that's ready to go in the machine. I've just changed to do a white thread so it's easier to tell when we're doing it. Pull on the thread and make sure it's going in a clockwise direction. So it's going round and clockwise. hold the bobbin in the bobbin case because you don't want the bobbin to tip out while you're doing this. So hold it together like so and lift that bar at the back. So lift that up and put your finger on the bobbin just so it doesn't pop out. Lift that bar, and then what you're going to do is put the top of this metal bit into the bobbin holder in the machine. And then you're going to let it go, and then you're just going to give it a little pull to make sure it's in correctly. Like that so you can see. And so see the top of the bar goes into the top of that little, there's a little opening up the top there, so make sure it's like that, and then give it a little pull, and if it doesn't pop out then it's incorrectly. Now what we want to do is we want to bring this thread up so that we've always got 2 threads sitting up here. So take your top thread, the one that's in the needle, hold that with your left hand, just move it back a bit, so hold that just like so, and while you're holding that you're going to want to get your winder on the side, and you're going to want to wind the winder towards you, and you're going to see, we'll pick up our lever foot, so pick that foot up, and you're going to wind your winder towards you because we want to bring this thread up here, and you're going to see the thread get picked up. See, here it comes, you can see it coming up, and then just give your top thread that you're holding a little pull, and then you can see it come through, which is great. So now we have 2 threads, and if you can't quite get it all through, you just get some scissors and then go like that, and it pulls it all. So now we've got them threaded, all the machines threaded up. We're going to put that shut, and then we're going to put this back on, and now we're just going to give it a quick test to make sure it's sewing correctly, because you always want to practice on a scrap piece of fabric before you go into your real project. Great, so I'm going to do some practice sewing before I get stuck into my project, just to make sure it's all threaded correctly. And this is a good idea to do every time you need to thread back up, just to make sure that it's all running smoothly and how it should be. So I've grabbed some scrap fabric, I'm just going to fold it in half, and then I'm just going to practice sewing along that edge. So what you're going to do is you're going to push your lever up, so which moves your presser foot, so make sure that's up, and then we're going to put our work in, and then remember these lines down here are the seam allowance lines. So if you wanted to follow one while you're practicing, how you can measure which one to follow is you measure from the needle outwards, and just say you've got 1 centimetre seam allowances on your pattern, you would measure out 1 centimetre, sorry, and then whichever the line falls on that you've measured out 1 centimetre, then you follow that line. So that's the line you will follow to do your sewing. Also you could measure out and go 2 centimetres if that's what your sewing project needs, is 2 centimetre seam allowances. You just measure out from your needle out 2 centimetres, and then whichever line it lands on is the line that you follow while you're sewing. So just for this example, I'm just going to follow the second line. So we're going to put our work in, make sure your foot's up, because otherwise you can't get your work underneath. Place your work in, and then you're just going to put your foot down, so put the lever down once your work's in place, and then you're just going to lightly put your foot on the pedal on the ground. The softer you do it, obviously the slower you're going to sew. The harder you put your foot on the pedal, the faster you're going to go. So while you're learning, and if you're a beginner, just go slow, take your time, no rush. So put your foot down, do a few stitches, and then this is your back tack button. So this pretty much just goes backwards. So I'll show you now. If we push this down, see it goes backwards on the same piece, so that locks in your stitch. So we want to do that at the start and at the end of any of our projects on one line. So you do it at the start when you first put your work in, so you do back tack, and then you sew, and then you do it at the end, you back tack at the end, and that just locks your stitches, because if you didn't do that, you'll just have one row of stitching and it'll easily come unraveled. So that way it locks it in so it can't come unraveled. So I've gone ahead and back tacked that, and then I'm just going to go ahead and sew. Great. And then I'm going to back tack at the end, and then you're going to lift the needle up, flick the foot up. Make sure your needle is in the highest position, because if your needle's in your work, you won't be able to pull it out. And then you're going to pull your work out, and then I'm just going to use my little thread cutter on the side there. Otherwise, you just use scissors to cut it. Great, and that's my sewing line there. Not that one, that's an old one. So this is my sewing line. That's my upper thread, and then that's my bobbin underneath the white. You wouldn't normally sew with 2 different colours. I mean, unless you wanted to, unless it was a feature. But I've just done it so you can tell which one is which. And if they were a bit weird on one side, then that's usually an indication that's one of them, like your bobbin threaded incorrectly or your upper thread's threaded incorrectly. So if yours doesn't look like this, no worries. Just go back through and just see where your threading is, and just make sure it's all correct. Like the simplest little error, or if you've missed a little step, can make a major dramatic scene on your fabric and make it all, you know, all ruffly and all over the show. But it's usually a simple little fix. Just go back to basics and figure out where the thread is going and where it's gone wrong. Good luck, everyone. Good luck, everyone. You're now ready to tackle your sewing projects. I can't wait to see them.